Hello, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Today we're getting into the very last reading of Gods with Amnesia, Subterranean Worlds of Inner Earth by Robert Sepehr. Chapter 7. In her 1982 article, Odyssey into Egypt, Dr. Erlene Cheney described a discovery that she claims to have witnessed in Egypt, along with researcher Bill Cox. They were allegedly shown two tunnels, neither of which had been fully explored. One was in the Temple of Edfu, located on the west bank of the Nile, between Luxor and Cairo, in the ruins of El Tuna Gabel. Gabel? The other was near Zozer's Step Pyramid in Cairo, near Memphis, Saqqara, located within the tomb of the bull called Serapium. I'm not sure. Serapium. The bull, the Taurus. According to the article, the Egyptian government sealed both tunnels after some of their archaeologists claimed that the entrances led too deeply down into the depths of the earth, end quote, and that they found the crust to be honeycombed with passages leading off to other depths. The Egyptian authorities concluded that the possibility of explorers becoming lost was too great, according to Dr. Cheney, so access to the tunnels has been restricted and remain off limits. At the Earth's Core, which is a title, a 1914 fantasy novel by Edgar Rice Burroughs, is the first in his series about the subject of a hollow earth and inhabited land called Pellucidar. Pellucidar? Pellucidar. A man traveling in the Sahara Desert encounters a mining heir with an experimental excavating machine called the Iron Mole. It burrows 500 miles into the Earth's crust, emerging into the unknown interior world. The novel was filmed as At the Earth's Core in 1976. In this adventure, the Earth is a hollow shell, with people living in massive cities within the shell. The subterranean world also features prehistoric creatures of all geological eras and is dominated by a race of reptilian humanoids. The reptilians enslave the subterranean humans and use an ape-like hybrid simian race as slaves. Figure 79, Iron Mole from At the Earth's Core. Hey, Genevieve, welcome in. At the Earth's Core, this one. Awesome. Aw, I hope it activates you too, right? Sink in already. Tarzan at the Earth's Core, another novel by Edgar Rice Burroughs, involves a scientist who has discovered the interior world at the Earth's center. Tarzan uses a German Zeppelin to enter the Earth, where he encounters massive internal seas, prehistoric reptiles, and a breakaway human civilization. Figure 80, Tarzan at the Earth's Core, cover by David B. Mattingly. Leaving his relatively safe home in the African jungle to answer the call to great adventure, Tarzan of the Apes joins an expedition to the Arctic to seek an opening in the Earth's surface that leads to the inner world. Figure 81A. Germany had many blimps in use during World War I. Wow. That's a funky looking blimp there. Sailing on a German-made blimp, they glide almost imperceptibly from our world into the strange, mysterious, and often terrifying land that lies beneath the Earth's crust. When they arrive, neither Tarzan's jungle lore nor the charts of scientists are of any use as they face the problem of rescuing an American adventurer who is held captive by bloodthirsty inner Earth inhabitants. A ferocious bat-like creature carries Tarzan away in its talons, but he manages to escape. He slashes his way through trackless forests and dangerous swamps, and outwitting his cruel captors. Tarzan faces the most terrific encounters of his adventure-crammed life when rescuing the beautiful Jana, known as the Red Flower. He falls into the hands of reptile men who move with lightning speed and relentless ferocity to spread terror throughout the land. How much of these fictional stories could be based in truth? Richard Hinckley Allen explains in his 1899 book, In Star Names and Their Meanings, that the Great Sphinx of Giza was constructed with Virgo's head on Leo's body from the fact that the sun passed through these two constellations during the inundation of the Nile. And that was the end of that little quote. The Great Sphinx aligns perfectly toward cardinal east, reflecting the significance of the four cardinal directions in the Old Kingdom. Figure 81b, a 26,000-year cycle known as the precession of the equinoxes, as the root cause of the astrological ages, the four fixed signs of the zodiac. Hey, Jansu. Oh my gosh, so good to see you, Heidi. Welcome in, everyone. Awesome-o. During the process of mummification, the four organs consisting of the liver, lungs, stomach, and intestines were placed by the Egyptians in special containers called canopic jars. The jars were personified by four different gods known as the sons of Horus, and were associated with the four cardinal compass points. Figure 81c, ancient Egyptian canopic jars personified the sons of Horus with accompanied mummified bodies. Which accompanied mummified bodies? According to E.C. Krupp, the cardinal directions originate astronomically in the daily rotation of the sun around the north celestial pole, which was a location of high religious and occult importance to the ancient Egyptians, as the entire Giza necropolis adheres to an accurate cardinal grid. Figure 82, aerial view of the Great Sphinx of Giza in Egypt. The Giza Plateau in Egypt has an enormous underground system that is a combination of man-made caverns and tunnels, as well as subterranean rivers and passages. Since 1978, these caverns have been mapped using ground-penetrating radar and explored on expeditions led by Dr. Jim Hertock, who has entered gigantic chambers, some larger than our largest cathedrals. A few historians have suggested that the underground cave system at Giza is the legendary City of the Gods, the massive underground city described by Herodotus in the 5th century BC. Quote, "There I saw 12 palaces regularly disposed, which had communication with each other, interspersed with terraces and arranged around 12 halls. It is hard to believe they are the work of man. The walls are covered with carved figures, and each court is exquisitely built of white marble and surrounded by a colonnade. Near the corner where the labyrinth ends, there is a pyramid, 240 feet in height, with great carved figures of animals on it, and an underground passage by which it can be entered. I was told very credibly that underground chambers and passages connected this pyramid with the pyramids at Memphis. And then that's 111. Furthermore, he spoke of a multi-level megalithic metropolis under Giza that was thousands of years old. Many ancient writers supported Herodotus's record of underground passages connecting major pyramids. Iamblichus, a 4th century Syrian representative of the Alexandrian school of mystical and philosophical studies, wrote about an entranceway through the body of the Sphinx into the Great Pyramid. Quote, "This entrance, obscured in our day by sands and rubbish, may still be traced between the forelegs of the crouched colossus. It was formerly closed by a bronze gate whose secret spring could be operated only by the Magi. It was guarded by public respect, and a sort of religious fear maintained its inviolability better than armed protection would have done." Inviolability. In the belly of the Sphinx were cut out galleries leading to the subterranean part of the Great Pyramid. These galleries were so artfully crisscrossed along their course to the pyramid that, in setting forth into the passage without a guide throughout this network, one inevitably returned to the starting point. End quote. Since the declassification of the ground-penetrating radar, more and more underground systems have been discovered in various places around the world, systems that remain unexplored. Figure 83, aerial view of a stone church in Lalibela, Ethiopia. The cross. 122. Lalibela is one of Ethiopia's holiest cities, famous for monolithic churches carved entirely out of volcanic rock. Egypt's pyramids are commonly considered the continent's top man-made attractions. However, these far lesser-known semi-underground churches are among the most impressive sights in all of Africa. No stone was added to the structures during the construction. The volcanic rock was carved away, leaving behind these magnificent cross-shaped buildings. Expert carvers painstakingly hollowed the rock to create large chambers, complete with ornate religious sculptures. Wow, right? The Portuguese priest Francisco Alvarez, 1465 to 1540, I'm going to start that again. The Portuguese priest Francisco Alvarez's visit to Lebna Dengal in 1520 and described the unique church structures as follows. Quote, "I weary of writing more about these buildings because it seems to me that I shall not be believed if I write more. I swear by God, in whose power I am, that all I have written is the truth." End quote. Figure 84, subterranean church in Lalibela, Ethiopia. So this is that same one that I just showed you, but it's closer. You can see the door and how huge this building is. It's not just like a stamp, you know? There is some controversy as to when Ethiopia's nearly 200 rock-hewn churches were constructed, though mainstream archaeologists generally accept that the 11 churches at Lalibela were constructed in several phases between the 7th and 13th centuries. Ethiopian tradition ascribes the whole complex's construction to the reign of King Gebri Meskel Lalibela, circa 1181 to 1221, 1221. According to the king's Hagiography, Hagiography, Gladel. They were carved over a period of 24 years with the assistance of angels, and that's in quotes. Okay, so hagiography. I gotta look that up. Oh, man, I'm sending you the good vibes and the love. I'm keeping the even energy up here for you. Do it like you feel it, though. You know? Hagiography. The writing of the lives of saints.
Hagiography.
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 Awesome. Hagiography, the writing of the lives of saints. Adulatory writing about another person. Adulatory, biography that idealizes its subject. Hagiographies. Cool. I really like that. Here we are. I pulled some cards last night, y'alls, and out of the Gratitude Oracle, and they were reveal and presence. And it was a lot of energy about revealing our true natures and knowing that it's safe to do that. And the flower that blooms as a crown around our head, that's so grounded in this realm where we are, that we're growing from. And that it's okay to be safe. It's okay to reveal our true selves. And paired with presence, it felt like when I saw them together, almost like an eerie sense of connecting with other realms. But it also spoke to overwhelming thoughts like clouds surrounding and shrouding our head. And so there might be a lot of heavy energy that the collective is working through right now. It was the perfect thing for me to hear, and maybe it'll help y'all's as well. We're safe to create. And we have lots of choices. We're not boxed in. And it's safe to be ourselves authentically. And I love yous. And hello, Blue. Hello, everyone. I love yous. So, hagiography, the writing of saints. Gladel. They were carved over a period of 24 years with the assistance of angels. There's always assistance of angels. Figure 85. Ancient swastika-style cross windows. Lalibela, Ethiopia. Boom. All right. The churches occupy pits roughly the size of tennis courts, scooped from the surrounding earth. A few of them are linked by underground tunnels, which connect them via passages that are hidden from the surface. It almost looks as if the churches were dropped into the pits that contain them. Though called underground churches, the sky is visible. Outside the churches, monks live in caves in the pit walls. Some oral legends maintain that these subterranean shrines lead to deeper passages, which, if followed deep enough, lead to an underground inhabited world. It is not entirely clear who the inhabitants of this inner world are, if it exists, but some have claimed that it could be of another species, perhaps reptilian. Figure 86A, Credo Mutwa, South Africa. Ooh. Wow, look at how he's adorned. An Ankh. Zulu Sanusi, diviner or Sangoma. Credo Mutwa is a man whom researcher David Icke describes as, quote, a friend, a genius, end quote. While not formally educated, many consider Credo Mutwa a living encyclopedia of ancient African wisdom and a keeper of oral legend. He is the author of many books, including Song of the Stars, The Lore of a Zulu Shaman. Another one is Indaba, and another, My Children, and Zulu Shaman, Dreams, Prophecies, and Mysteries. According to Mutwa, give me a second here, give me a sip. The people of Rwanda, the Hutu people, as well as the Watusi people state, and they are not the only people in Africa who state this, that their very oldest ancestors were a race of beings whom they called the Emanuela, which is Imanujela, Emanuela, which means the lords who have come. And some tribes in West Africa, such as a Bambara people, also say the same thing. The Zulu people, who are famous as a warrior people, the people to whom King Shaka Zulu of the last century belonged. The Zulus claimed that many, many thousands of years ago, a race of people who were like lizards, ... And then it continues, quote, and people married their daughters to them and produced a power race of kings and tribal chiefs. There are hundreds of fairy tales, sir, in which a lizard female assumes the identity of a human princess and poses as her, and gets married to a Zulu prince. No matter where you go throughout southern, eastern, western, and central Africa, you'll find that the description of these creatures is the same, even amongst tribes which never, throughout their long history, had contact with each other at all. So there are such creatures. Where they come from, I will never claim to know, sir. It is said that these creatures feed on us human beings. They hide in deep cavities underground because they are always feeling cold. In these cavities, we are told, there are huge fires which are kept going by slaves, human, zombie-like slaves. And it is further said that these Zuswazi, these Imbulu, or whatever you choose to call them, are not capable of eating solid food. They eat human blood, and there is another name by which these creatures are known. The name is Chitauli, Chitauli. Now, the word Chitauli means the dictators, the ones who tell us the law. In other words, they who tell us secretly what we are to do. Now, it is said that these Chitauli did a number of things to us, ... And another thing the Chitauli forced human beings to do, they forced human beings to mine into the earth. The Chitauli activated human women and made them to discover minerals and metals of certain types. Women discovered copper, women discovered gold, women discovered silver, and eventually they were guided by the Chitauli to alloy these metals and to create new metals which had never existed in nature before. Metals such as bronze and brass and others. Many African tribes believe in what is called Midzimu or Badimo, Badimo. Now, the word Madzimu or Badimo means them who are in the sky. But in Zululand, amongst my people, you find this amazing schism going hand in hand. There are Zulus who believe that the dead ones are the Abapansi, which means the ones who are below, who are under the earth. End quote. Hey, Sand and Sea, welcome in. Awesome-o. Credo Mutwa also claims that Black African tribes had seen tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed beings throughout the continent long before the white Europeans arrived. According to Credo, the official historian of the Zulu nation, when the Europeans first came, the Black Africans thought they were the return of these same white gods, which they called the Mzungu. As a result, they called the European settlers by that name, which is still used today. This was very much the same reaction that Central American peoples had when Cortes arrived in 1519. They thought he was a returning god. Quetzalcoatl, another god described as tall with blue eyes. He was called Viracocha by the Incas, Kukulkan by the Mayans, Quetzalcoatl by the Aztecs, Gucumats in Central America, Votan in Palenque, and Zamna in Izamel. He and his men were usually described as being bearded with white skin. El Conejo de la Luna, figure 86b, Quetzalcoatl depicted in a Mexican textbook. Oh, I think this might have been shown in Species with Amnesia too. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and that was chapter 7. And now we are to the very last chapter of this amazing read. Chapter 8. Oh, look at that word. Snafel's Jokel, which is Snaefellsjo with a dot dot Kull. Snafel's Jokel is a 7,000-year-old volcano with a glacier covering its summit in western Iceland. The mountain is one of the most famous sights of Iceland, primarily due to Journey to the Center of the Earth, 1864 by Jules Verne. There's a guy who comes into the restaurant who's a regular. His name is Verne, and sometimes I accidentally call him Jules. Or shoot, or it could be the other way around. See, that's why. In which the protagonists find the entrance to a passage leading to the inner earth. The main characters make their way through hazardous passages and survive the tortures of thirst and discover, 88 miles down, a vast sea. What seems to amaze them most after their long ordeal in a series of labyrinthine tunnels is the brightness of the underground world. Declares Axel, quote, "It was like an aurora borealis, a continuous cosmic phenomenon, filling a cavern big enough to contain an ocean." Wow. End quote. Without the wow. Figure 87. Illustrations, Journey to the Center of the Earth, 1864. Damn, Bean. I wonder. There is an inner sun in the novel, different from the sun in our solar system. The inner sun results from the convergence to a point of the cosmic rays that have penetrated Earth. The friction of the rays coming together creates the light. Figure 88. Ooh, 88 portal next to Monday. The Earth bisected centrally, giving a clear view of the central sun, interior continents, and oceans. Ooh, it's like, I don't know, I like, it's like shadow play. It's like a silhouette. It's like, I don't know, Doppler or something. Or, I'm not sure. The Norwegian sailor Olaf Jansen described the inner sun as smoky, and it was the basis for the title of the book, The Smoky God. As the Hollow Earth people are not exposed to solar radiation, their lifespans are much longer than people living on the surface. The protagonists construct a raft and sail across this mysterious ocean, discovering a lost world of giant plants and prehistoric reptiles. Throughout, the character of the professor remains the model of a rational 19th century scientist, as he tries to calculate how the subterranean lake came to be. He speculates that the ocean had flowed down from the surface through a fissure, which closed, and that some of the vapor had evaporated to cause clouds and storms. The nephew reflects that, quote, this theory about the phenomenon we had witnessed structured as satisfactory, for however go the wonders of nature, they can always be explained by physical laws, end quote. Stony Faith, wonderful to see you. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea is a French television series created by Nina Wollmark. The plot revolves around the lost city of Arcadia, with a K, Arkadia. I lived off of Arcadia for a while. Ooh, itchy nose. Oh, woo, woo. Man, that really took over. My whole face is twitching. Okay. The plot revolves around the lost city of Arcadia, the home to an ancient civilization which escaped a great cataclysmic event by relocating deep within the crust. Unaware that any life survived on the surface, the elders sealed all records of their past in the city's archives in an effort to keep their population safe. Arcadia is illuminated by a dying artificial sun. A group of Arcadians defy the law and enter the archives. And with what they learned about the world above, they create a messenger named Arcana and send her above to find help. Also spelled with a K. Arcana brings back two kids through the underground strata, which seem like alternative dimensions, to save Arcadia. They travel in a spaceship called Tehrig, Tehrig, along with Spartacus and Arcadia's animal mascots. Although this animation is primarily targeted towards children, it maintains a mature and candid tone, evident in its opening narration. Quote, ever since the time of the Great Cataclysm, the Arcadians have lived deep in the center of the earth. They believed they were the only survivors of this great devastation. Their civilization thrived under the power of their sun, the Terra, until it began to fail. In desperation, the children of Arcadia broke the law and entered the forbidden archives, searching for a solution. What they discovered gave them hope. Anxiously, they used their special powers and created a messenger to the people above. They named her Arcana. Dude, Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea is a French television series. I still hold that. I don't know. It's just, yeah, children's stories. That's where it's at. During the summer of 1998, is that when we moved to Ohio? I think that's when we moved to Ohio. Cave explorers confirmed that a linked cave system, some 15 miles in length, winds underneath North Wales. German archaeologist Dr. Heinrich Kusch, 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 announced that there is considerable evidence regarding the deep tunnel system that have been found beneath many prehistoric European settlements. He compared these hidden or forgotten tunnels to ancient highways beneath the surface. Figure 89, underground tunnel systems found under dozens of European Neolithic settlements, image by Dr. Heinrich Kusch. Oh, that's easier to pronounce, Kush. Hey, Tom, welcome in. The empirical evidence of these Stone Age highways has recently increased with the discovery and exploration of dozens of Neolithic settlements scattered from Scotland to Turkey. Most of these settlements have been dated to the late Pleistocene, end of the last ice age. The fact that so many of these ancient networks has survived for 12,000 years indicates that the original tunnels must have been engineered and constructed on a truly massive scale. The secrets of the underground door to an ancient world. I don't know, I could have said that, but I wasn't understanding. In Secrets of the Underground Door to an Ancient World, Dr. Heinrich Kusch reveals convincing evidence regarding the many miles of tunnels that he has investigated. Quote, across Europe, there were thousands of them, from the north in Scotland down to the Mediterranean. Most are not much larger than big wormholes, just 70 centimeters wide, just wide enough for a person to wiggle along, but nothing else. They are interspersed with nooks. At some places, it's larger, and there is seating or storage chambers and rooms. They do not all link up, but taken together, it is a massive underground network. End quote. Some archaeologists believe the network was a way of protecting man from predators. Others maintain that there were periodic cataclysms from which Europeans took subterranean refuge. Still others believe that some of the linked tunnels functioned to do today. Still others believe that some of the linked tunnels functioned as do today. They allowed for people to travel safely regardless of wars, violence, or weather conditions on the surface. Dr. Heinrich Kusch believes that the church often built beautiful stone chapels by the entrances, perhaps because it was fearful of the heathen legacy the tunnels might have represented, and wanted to negate their influence. What I found most fascinating were the writings that referred to the tunnels as a gateway to the underworld, according to Dr. Kusch. Quote, in Bavaria and Germany alone, we have found 700 meters of these underground tunnel networks. In Syria, in Austria, we have found 350 meters. Across Europe, there were thousands of them, from the north in Scotland down to the Mediterranean. In Spain and North Africa, with others reported even in the Sahara. End quote. In an article called Extensive Ancient Underground Networks Discovered Throughout Europe, April Holloway compares Dr. Kusch's findings to ancient myths and legends from all over the world that refer to underground cities and tunnels. Quote, according to mythological traditions, underground sites were mostly referred to as entrances to the underworld, and we find such references all around the world. Although most of us think of the underworld as a representation of hell, and therefore an imagery or spiritual place for bad people, in reality, in ancient religions, that wasn't the case. The underworld was a place where the dead would go, but it was a place with physical entrances, guards, buildings, and cities, and a place that a few mortals could visit and even communicate with the dead souls, gods, kings, or the armies of the underworld. In a few cases, though, according to the legends, they could even resurrect a dead person. One of the most famous underground cities is the city of Agartha, a legendary city that is supposed to be in the center of the Earth's core. Central Asia is the origin of those legends, and the race inhabiting this underground realm was called the Agarthi. Theosophists refer to Agartha as a vast complex of caves and an underground network that was inhabited by the Asuras, evil demons, and enemies of the gods. This underground network was supposedly made by man. In Hindu mythology, there are legends of a race called the Nagas. serpent-like intelligent creatures with human faces that live in underground caverns. Those creatures are described as children of gods who got married with human kings and queens and are supposedly spiritually advanced. Similarly, in Chinese legends, dragons are not the ugly flying beasts that we believe today, but wise creatures that would be masters of kings and creators of kingdoms. Many Tibetans are mentioned to have entered those caves in the Nagas. Oh, those caves of the Nagas that expand miles and miles inside the mountains of Asia. Wow. Hey, Matrix Man, welcome in. What is interesting is that a strange light emanates in those underground realms, which has also been mentioned as the hollow earth inner sun. So the underground cities are not in dark, as we would believe. Some of those realms now are inside Earth, while in the past they used to be on the surface, but were forced to move inside Earth due to circumstances like attacks or maybe even climate change. Shambhala, a Sanskrit word meaning place of peace, is another famous holy place that for some is supposed to be a spiritual paradise, but for others it is suggested to be a real underground city with references of people that have actually visited it. Legends mention that the king of Shambhala traveled to India to meet Buddha and listen to his teachings. One major difference with Shambhala is that it is supposed to be a holy place in comparison to Agartha, which is a place of demons. According to Helena Blavatsky, Shambhala is located in the Gobi Desert. On the other side of the earth, in America, we have the legend of Akakor, a legend that the latest adventure of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skulls was based on. Tatunka Nara, an Amazon jungle guide, claims to have seen the city and described not only the city, but also the chronicles of the underground kingdom. According to that legend, gods came from a solar system known as Schwerta and built an underground tunnel system in South America. This civilization left 13 underground cities in South America in the jungles of Amazon, yet to be found. In the Mayan mythology, we have the mythical underground city of Chibalba, the land that the sun goes down into, which was inhabited by superheroes and gods, a civilization that supposedly vanished around the Middle Ages. The entrance to this world was thought to be located in Guatemala, and description of the structures and locations within Chibalba are described in Popol Vuh. In Greece, we have the myths of Hades and the underworld, a realm where gods and heroes lived. God Pluto was the god of the underworld, which had many different sections, including the Elysium and Tartarus. In Irish legends, we hear about the people named Tatha de Dana, people of the goddess Danu, a race who moved underground when another race arrived on the island. According to the legends, they came to Ireland in dark clouds and landed on the mountains of Ireland. Those people in today's myths are referred to as fairies. In Norwegian legends, we have the dwarves, beings of the underground associated with craftsmanship, different races of dwarves that were the ones that supplied the gods with weapons. In Egypt, we have references of the historians Herodotus and Strabo of a colossal underground temple that contained 3,000 rooms full of paintings and hieroglyphs, a lost labyrinth yet to be found. End quote. That was a whole lot. Hey, Code, great to see you, dude. Just for the end of the book. Perfect. In a 2012 article for Discovery called First Ever Etruscan Pyramids Found in Italy, Rossella Lorenzi reports on what archaeologists claim is the first ever Etruscan pyramid located in the city of Orvieto in central Italy. Orvieto, maybe. Carved into the rock of the Tufa Plateau, a sedimentary area resulting from a volcanic activity. Oh, wait. Resulting from. Yeah, okay, wait. A sedimentary area resulting from of volcanic activity on which the city stands, the subterranean structures were largely filled and had to be carefully unearthed. Only the topmost modern layer was visible at the start. Much progress has been made at the Italian site. David B. George of the Department of Classics at St. Anselm, Anselm, St. Anselm explained, quote, within this upper section, which had been modified in modern times and was used as a wine cellar, we noted a series of ancient stairs carved into the wall. They were clearly of Etruscan construction, end quote. Figure 90, ancient structures discovered in Orvieto, Italy. Okay, sweet. Oh, I was actually looking at a text message my dad sent me, not focusing on that for a second. As archaeologists started digging, they noticed that the cave's walls tapered up in a pyramid fashion. A series of tunnels ran underneath, hinting at the likelihood of much deeper, yet undiscovered structures below. After going through a mid-20th century floor and wine cellar, archaeologists continued through a medieval floor. Immediately beneath this floor, they discovered a layer containing various ancient Etruscan artifacts from the middle of the 6th and 5th century BC, with inscriptions as well as various objects that dated to before 1000 BC. Digging through this layer, the archaeologists found 5 feet of gray sterile fill, which had intentionally been deposited from a hole in the top of the structure. Co-director of the excavation, Claudio Bizzarri of the Parco Archeologico Ambientale del Orvientano noted that there are at least 5 pyramids under the city. 3 of these structures have yet to be excavated, according to Bizzarri, quote, below the material there was a brown layer that we are currently excavating. Intriguingly, the stone-carved stairs run down the wall as we continue digging. We still don't know where they are going to take us. At this level, we found a tunnel running to another pyramidal structure and dating from before the 5th century BC, which adds to the mystery. Clearly, there are not quarries or cisterns. I would say that there is nothing like these structures on record anywhere in Italy. Clearly, they are not quarries or cisterns. I would say that there is nothing like these structures on record anywhere in Italy. Most likely, the answer waits at the bottom. The problem is, we don't really know how much we have to dig to get down there. End quote. Indeed, the Etruscans have long been considered one of antiquity's greatest enigmas, especially since World War II, when the term Aryan was literally expunged from academia, and therefore erased from recorded history. Often depicted as blonde on Roman frescoes with mosaics, the Etruscan people were known for their art, agriculture, fine metalworking, and commerce. They were documented as being a fun-loving, aesthetically oriented, and altruistic people who taught the French how to make wine, the Romans how to build roads, and introduced the art of writing to most of Europe. They flourished in Etruria, an area in central Italy that covered what now are Tuscany, Latium, Emilia Romagna, and Umbria. Yeah, I've never been to those places, so I apologize for any of the mispronunciations. So they flourished in Etruria around 900 BC, dominated much of the country for 5 centuries, and started to decline during the 5th century BC as the Romans grew in power. By 300 to 100 BC, they became absorbed into the Roman Empire, which sank into multicultural decline. Their language had affinities to Latin and other Aryan languages, but was virtually extinguished as they left no literature to document their society. Most of what we know about them comes from other civilizations or from their cemeteries, their richly decorated tombs. Their origins are still being debated as more discoveries are made, especially across Europe. In the New York Times article, Underground Tunnels Threaten Town in Hungary's Wine Country, Malcolm W. Brown tells of over 60 miles of ancient tunnel systems of unknown origin or purpose, some of which have collapsed, which have been discovered beneath the towers of Eger, Hungary. The civilization which constructed the tunnels must have been fairly advanced in engineering in order to create such a vast subterranean system. The Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids is a controversial archaeological site discovered by Dr. Semir Osmanagic, Osmanagic. Below the site, there exists an extensive network of underground tunnels and chambers. These tunnels run for several miles, seemingly connecting the pyramids together. Figure 91, Dr. Samir Osmanagic. Okay, spelled differently here. Osmanagic. Giving a tour of Ravni Underground Tunnel Labyrinth, Bosnian Pyramids, 8/13/2015. Osmanagic. Okay. According to Dr. Osmanagic, it was clear from the very start of the excavation that all of the side tunnels were closed off by stone walls, filled up, and sealed with riverbed material. It took workers a lot of time and effort to remove the debris and fill material, to reveal what was inside. To the amazement of the locals and the media, an extensive area of subterranean construction was discovered. This directly led to an enthusiastic flurry of archaeological activity at the Bosnian pyramids and nearby surrounding areas. Since being first publicized in 2005, there has been an increase in people volunteering to clean and secure additional entrances to the prehistoric tunnel network. Boston University's Curtis Runnels, Runnels, like tunnels, an expert in prehistoric Greece and the Balkans, declared that ancient builders of the Bosnian site were not capable of building on such a large scale. According to Dr. Runnels, quote, "These people did not have the tools or skills to engage in the construction of monumental architecture," end quote. Despite the expected skepticism from federally funded mainstream anthropologists, volunteers continue to expose more of the ancient concrete on the surface of the pyramids, connecting two archaeological trenches at what is called the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Considering the amount of progress that has been made since excavation began, the volunteers should be commended for the time and effort that went into clearing the access paths to the pyramid, as well as to the labyrinth below it. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is approximately 1/3 taller than the Great Pyramid of Giza, or at Giza. According to Dr. Osmanagic, it was constructed with 5 thick layers of concrete, sandstone slabs almost 1 meter thick each, with a 15-centimeter layer of clay in between each of the layers. Underneath the concrete and clay, the inner portion consists of sandstone blocks. A breakthrough discovery was made in 2012 when a team of volunteers led by the Italian archaeologists Dr. Riccardo Brett and Niccolo Bisconti found a fossilized leaf on top of one of the sandstone blocks. The radiocarbon dating lab in Kiev showed that the leaf is about 24,800 years old. This evidence potentially shows the earliest age of the pyramidal structure. When the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun was first discovered in 2005, researchers estimated its age by measuring the age of the topsoil covering it. The radiocarbon. How many? I have to. Okay, I'm getting there. I have an appointment. The radiocarbon measurements showed that the topsoil is up to 12,000 years old. The carbon dating of the fossilized leaf sheds new light onto the true age of this European site. If the leaf is 25,000 plus years old, this implies that the construction was carried out by one of the oldest civilizations known, stretching into the Pleistocene or Ice Age. The process of debris cleanup and wall support will likely last several more years before the Pyramid of the Sun is reached. The workers and volunteers have already secured, cleaned, and illuminated about 600 meters of the underground network. The network of underground tunnels were discovered under the complex in Visoko at depths ranging between 2 to 25 meters. On average, the height of the tunnels is 3 meters and the width is 2.5 meters. The labyrinth consists of passages and chambers spreading across several kilometers, and the distance from the tunnel entrance to the Pyramid of the Sun is approximately 3 kilometers. Figure 92, subterranean tunnels beneath the Bosnian site. Ooh. Creatrix, wonderful to see you. Welcome all. 115. Dudes, I really don't want to do this, but I actually have to go. So I'm probably going to end up redoing all of that reading again. I'm probably going to go back and reread everything, even though I only have 4 pages left. Oh my gosh. I have to go, though. Isn't that crazy? I have to go. I'm getting my tires changed, so... I love yous. I'll be back later. I'm going to reread these last 2 chapters over. Am I? I think so. But I got to go. So I love yous, and I'll see you next time. Until then, mwah! Thank you.